the mouse who wanted to build a castle. Once upon a time, in a wide green meadow nestled between the arms of an old whispering forest, lived a little mouse named Milo. Milo was not like the other mice who scurried about the field, gathering seeds and playing hide-and-seek beneath the dandelions. No, Milo spent his days gazing up at the clouds, dreaming of tall towers and grand halls. While his friends built simple nests from twigs and leaves, Milo imagined something much bigger. A castle, with turrets that touched the sky and walls strong enough to weather any storm. Milo's home was a cozy burrow beneath a patch of wild violets, soft and fragrant in the spring breeze. He had everything a little mouse could wish for: warm bedding, tasty morsels, and friends to share the day. Yet, as the sun rose each morning, Milo felt a tickle of longing in his heart. A wish to build something magnificent, something that would stand for years and years. He wanted to create a castle, a place where mice and all their friends could gather, celebrate, and feel safe. One sunny morning, as dew sparkled on the grass and the robins sang their cheerful tune, Milo scurried to the center of the meadow. He stood on his favorite rock, his whiskers twitching, and called out to his friends. "Listen, everyone, I have an idea, a big idea. I want to build a castle, not just any castle, but the grandest castle a mouse has ever seen. Who's with me?" The other mice paused, looking at one another, and then at Milo. Some giggled, some blinked in surprise. A castle for mice? It was unheard of. But Milo's eyes were bright with hope, and his tiny paws trembled with excitement. First to step forward was Theo, an old field mouse with soft grey fur and a gentle voice. "A castle, you say? What would we do with a castle, Milo?" Milo puffed out his chest. "We could have parties and tell stories by candlelight. We'd have a place to hide when the rain pours down or the cold winds blow. And best of all, we'd build it together." A hush fell over the crowd as Milo's words sank in. Slowly, more mice began to gather around. Some were curious, some skeptical, but all were drawn to Milo's dream. Even the small shrew family who lived near the pond crept closer, their noses twitching with interest. The meadow was alive with possibility. Milo spent the day sketching designs in the dirt with a twig. He drew tall towers, winding staircases, and a great hall filled with tiny chairs and tables. His friends watched, their eyes growing wide as his vision came to life, but soon doubts crept in. "How will we find the stones for a castle?" asked Lily, a clever mouse with a knack for riddles. "And what about the roof?" piped up Pip, the smallest mouse of all. "Castles need strong roofs so rain can't get in." Milo paused, thinking. He hadn't figured out all the details yet, but he knew that every big dream started with a first step. "We'll find a way," Milo promised. "If we work together, nothing is impossible." The next morning, Milo and his friends set out across the meadow, searching for building materials. They found smooth pebbles by the creek, sturdy sticks left by the wind, and colourful leaves for decoration. They carried what they could, balancing stones on their backs and dragging twigs through the grass. As they worked, Milo noticed something wonderful happening. Mice who had never spoken before began to chatter and laugh. They told stories as they gathered supplies, sharing memories of rainy days and sunny afternoons. The little community, once scattered, was coming together. Soon other animals joined the fun. Bella the bluebird offered to bring feathers for the castle's flags. Sammy Squirrel found acorns to use as doorknobs. Even the bumblebees buzzed by, promising to help with sticky honey for mortar. Day by day, the castle began to take shape. Milo and his friends built walls from carefully stacked stones, weaving twigs together for strength. They fashioned tiny windows from polished bits of glass and hung leaves and petals as curtains. The grand hall was the heart of the castle, filled with laughter and the smell of wildflowers. But not everything was easy. One afternoon, as the mice worked on the tallest tower, a gust of wind swept through the meadow. Stones tumbled, and the tower collapsed in a heap. The mice stared at the mess, their hearts heavy. Milo felt tears prick his eyes. Had he asked too much of his friends? Was the dream of a castle too big for a little mouse? But then Theo placed a gentle paw on Milo's shoulder. "It's all right, Milo. Every castle has its troubles. We can try again." Encouraged, the mice rolled up their sleeves and rebuilt the tower, stronger than before. They learned to brace the walls with extra sticks and to tie the roof down with vines. Each setback made them wiser and more determined. As weeks passed, word of the mouse castle spread throughout the forest. Animals from far and wide came to see the wonder rising from the meadow. Some offered help, some simply watched in awe. The castle grew taller, more beautiful with each passing day. Flags fluttered from the towers, made from the brightest feathers Bella could find. Windows sparkled in the sunlight, and the halls rang with songs and laughter. At last, the day came when the castle was finished. Milo stood before the grand entrance, his heart pounding with joy. All his friends gathered around, their eyes shining with pride. "Welcome, everyone," Milo announced. "This is our castle, a place for stories, for friendship, for dreams. We built it together, and it belongs to all of us." The meadow erupted in cheers. The mice danced in the grand hall, nibbling honey cakes and singing songs beneath the twinkling stars. Milo watched from the highest tower, the wind ruffling his fur. He felt taller than ever, not because of the castle's height, but because of the love and friendship it held. From that day on, the castle became a magical place. Mice and animals from all over visited, sharing tales and laughter. On rainy days, everyone gathered inside, telling stories by candlelight. On sunny days, they played in the fields, knowing they had a home to return to. Milo had dreamed of a castle, but what he built was even greater: a community, a family, and a place where imagination could soar. But the story does not end there. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves turned golden and the castle glowed in the gentle sunlight, Milo sat on the wall with Pip, watching the world below. "Did you ever think we'd really build it?" Pip asked, her tiny voice soft. Milo smiled. "Sometimes I doubted, but every time we tried, we learned something new, and every time we failed, we grew stronger." Pip wiggled her whiskers. "What should we do next?" Milo looked out over the meadow, his mind full of ideas. "Anything," he said. "We can build, we can dream, we can help others. The castle is only the beginning." And so, Milo and his friends continued to dream. They built little gardens around the castle, planting seeds that grew into a rainbow of flowers. They hosted music nights, where Bella sang and Sammy played acorn drums. They even started a library, collecting stories from every animal who visited. The castle became a beacon of hope and creativity. Whenever someone felt lonely or scared, they knew they could find warmth and friendship within its walls. One winter, when snow blanketed the meadow and the wind howled through the trees, the castle offered shelter to all. Mice snuggled close, sipping warm berry tea and sharing tales of summer adventures. The walls glowed with kindness, and the halls rang with laughter. As the seasons turned, the castle changed too. Spring brought new flowers, summer brought games and festivals, autumn brought harvest feasts, and winter brought cozy nights by the fire. Milo grew older, his fur touched with silver, but his dreams never faded. He watched young mice playing in the gardens, building tiny forts and imagining great adventures. He knew the castle would stand long after he was gone, a symbol of what could be achieved when hearts and paws worked together. And so, in a meadow where once only grass and wildflowers grew, there stood a castle built by a mouse who dared to dream, and by friends who believed in each other. The lesson of Milo's castle spread far and wide. Even the smallest creature can build something wonderful if they have courage, creativity, and kindness. And every mouse, shrew, bird, and squirrel who visited the castle carried that lesson with them, passing it on to their children and grandchildren. So whenever you see a tiny mouse gazing at the clouds, dreaming big dreams, remember Milo and his castle. For in every heart there is a spark, a wish to build, to create, to make the world a little brighter. And who knows, maybe someday you'll build a castle of your own. As the years passed, the castle became a place of stories. Stories told by grandparents to their young ones, stories painted on the walls, stories whispered by the wind. Milo's dream had grown into something greater than he could have ever imagined. One day, a wise old owl visited the meadow. He perched on the highest tower and looked down at the bustling castle below. Mice scampered in and out, birds sang from the turrets, and laughter filled the air. The owl blinked his golden eyes and called out, "Milo, come join me." Milo climbed up, his paws steady on the stone steps. "You've built something remarkable," said the owl. "But the greatest part is not the castle itself. It's the spirit of togetherness it brings." Milo nodded. "We built it as a family." The owl smiled. "Remember, Milo, dreams are powerful. They can change the world if you share them with others." Milo looked out at the meadow and thought of all the friends who had helped him. He knew the owl was right. So, every year, on the anniversary of the day the castle was finished, the animals held a grand celebration. They told the story of Milo, the mouse who wanted to build a castle, and of all the friends who made it possible. They sang songs, danced in the moonlight, and promised to keep dreaming, building, and helping one another. The castle became more than just a building. It became a symbol of hope, friendship, and the magic of imagination. And whenever a new mouse arrived in the meadow, feeling lost or alone, Milo and his friends welcomed them with open arms and warm smiles. They showed them the castle, invited them to join in the fun, and helped them find their place in the community. In time, the castle's story spread beyond the meadow. Animals in distant forests heard of the mouse castle and were inspired to build their own, creating villages and towns where everyone worked together. Milo's dream had planted seeds of kindness throughout the land. And so, the mouse who wanted to build a castle had done something wonderful, not just for himself, but for everyone. Whenever the sun rose over the meadow, casting golden light on the castle walls, Milo remembered the journey, the hope, the hard work, the laughter, and the love. He knew that even the smallest dream could grow into something big if you believed in yourself and in your friends. And that is how, in a field of wildflowers, a little mouse built a castle and changed the world. As you drift off to sleep tonight, remember Milo's story. Remember that dreams are for sharing, and that together we can build castles of kindness, love, and imagination. For every child who listens, for every heart that hopes, the story of Milo's castle lives on. Close your eyes and dream your own castle. You never know what wonders you might build. And so, the meadow whispers, the castle glimmers, and the tale continues, wherever there are dreamers ready to build together.